Hey everyone. I kind of want to go over a few things with just video in an online learning space. Maybe dabble on like instructor presence in a synchronous online learning environment. So I kind of wanted to show you how video can start from this and then go to this. So it looks a little bit better, it sounds a little bit better, and overall it's better quality. So my goal here in this video is to show you some basic techniques to improve your video quality, and then a little bit more advanced techniques. Maybe it's some tools you already have around the house, or some things you might want to invest in, depending on how deep down the rabbit hole you want to go into improving online virtual presence. So let's go back to the other video so we can kind of step up the quality a little bit more. This is my webcam. Built into my laptop. You can hear me fine, you can see me fine, and this is great. This is how we'll mostly interact in an online space, whether it's in class, work meetings, Zooms, Skype calls, anything like that. But what I want to do is kind of walk through a couple really simple steps to just do some basic improvements, and then I'm also going to introduce some more advanced techniques, whether that could be maybe some stuff you have sitting around your house or something that you might want to invest in to check out a little bit more. So one of the things in my video production class that I really try to drive home to my students is that it's really important to make sure the camera is eye level with your subject. This accomplishes multiple things, but for the most part it puts your viewer or your audience or your peers or your students on your same level, right? Your eye level. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of pick this up and put it here. Now, there you see more of my space. You see me pretty much level. I guess the one quick improvement we could do here is I can start looking into the camera instead of on the screen. But we always like kind of to monitor what's going on in the Zoom room. But this kind of helps with that presence, whether you're interacting with colleagues, coworkers, or instructors. So to recap, right now I have my laptop, my built-in mic, which is probably right here, maybe, or here. Probably hear that. And then I've got my built-in webcam, right there. Hello. And you can actually see it's kind of grainy, right? You kind of see the graininess that's built into everything. And again, like this works, I also have this overhead light, which you can kind of see glowing here. But like what are the few things that we can do to improve this, right? So first of all, what we're going to do is try to turn off that overhead light. Now the big difference here is I have a huge computer monitor in front of me. So if I turn that off, it's pretty dark. But what I want to try here is just starting to introduce a couple lights. And that'll just kind of fill the room out a little bit. So first thing I'm going to do is just kind of turn on my basement light bulbs that are just little practical lamps. They're just around my room. I'm not trying to show off anything right now, but it's really easy to just say, Alexa, turn on the basement. So right there, it kind of fills in the basement a little bit. Again, it's just basic lights, but it's not this bright overhead light that was just shining down on me. The next step is we can maybe turn on a single side light and just kind of see how that looks. So I have a Chinese lantern lamp that's beside me. So if I click that on, and that is a little weird with this camera because you kind of see this glow happening down over here. So we've got this single light here. It's a little bright, and we're going to mess with that a little bit more. But my next thing I want to introduce is how do we improve the audio quality a little bit more. I think those of you that are in class with me know that I generally use my headset most of the time in class. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this up, and we're just going to listen to the difference. So now I have this microphone plugged up. I'm not really going to be able to hear what it sounds like until after I record this, but it should be a little cleaner, a little less like I'm in a big room. And yeah, now people know that I'm just like engaged in my learning space because I'm actually purposefully, um, I guess intentionally improving the audio experience for my peers, my students, um, and anyone else that I'm with. So we turned off those overhead lights. We have the lamps on in the room. I got a $20 headset that kind of improves my audio quality. My next thing I want to do is introduce what's called a bounce light. So if you have a lamp that you can just push off of a white wall, or even a window that you can set your laptop up in front of, you can get a lot more natural light that just kind of hits you. I don't have a window in this space that I'd be set up in front of. So what I'm going to do is actually turn on a ring light and then bounce it off the wall in front of me. But what I'm going to do first is show you what it looks like if it's just hitting me directly. So I just turned it towards me, and we're going to flick this on. Very bright, but you can already see that like the quality improves, right? Now, if you think about it comparatively to what I had before, this might feel a little less natural because it's just so bright hitting me. But if this is the only way you've ever seen me, then it could just be a bright, like, floor to ceiling window I have next to me, and it's a beautiful day outside. I don't have that. I have a very large ring light next to me. So what I'm going to do now is we turn it on. I'm going to turn it and bounce it off the wall in front of me. So we're just going to turn it. And right there, it's already giving me this more even light that's kind of pushing towards my face. So I'm going to turn off the light and turn it back on again real quick. You see all these shadows happening over here? Because my only other really light source are a couple lamps over on this side. So I'm going to turn that ring light on again. And right there, we have a more even light that's kind of hitting me straight on. Even though the light's not truly hitting me straight on, it's bouncing off of a white plain wall in front of me and coming back. The next piece I'm going to introduce is changing this webcam setup entirely. And we're actually going to switch to a bigger camera. So what we're going to switch to is this, and I'm probably going to cut to a couple shots of prettier shots of me showing off this camera. So it's a Canon EOS 5D Mark III. This is a still photo camera that has a very good video feature. Specifically on the side, it has HDMI out. This HDMI allows for just a really clean video signal that comes out of it. Now the trick here is, though, I can't plug this HDMI directly into my computer. Yes, my computer might have an HDMI port on it, but it's not designed for an input port. It's not going to pull in this camera signal. So I need something else, and that's where this new tool comes in. This is the ATEM Mini. It is a live switching box for live studio production. The cool thing about it, it has a number of HDMI inputs on the back, and you can plug in a computer to these, you can plug in a camera, and what we can do with my 5D through this adapter is I can plug in the adapter, plug in the HDMI cord, and then plug that directly into the ATEM. And what that's going to do is essentially turn this nice still photo and video camera into a webcam. You even see on the back of the ATEM Mini it says webcam out. So now we're here. We see I have my light bouncing off the bounce over here. I still have this kind of practicals set up, just my lamps on, overheads off. I have my headset on. So I think I switched ears from before. But now my camera is eye level, hooked up through that Blackmagic switching box. There's a whole other level of complicated configurations that I needed to do on this camera to make it properly work. But basically any camera that you have that has an HDMI or an HDMI mini out will go into this switcher and essentially just turn into a webcam. So what we could do is have a boom arm over me with another camera facing down if maybe I had to show some more like psychomotor skills and pass that knowledge onto the learner so they could see more detail of maybe me working with some camera equipment. Or if you're doing a woodworking class or something like that, it would help you to have multiple cameras to be then able to kind of go into details in other spaces. With this particular setup, I do use the other ports on the back of that ATEM mini switcher, but they're not necessarily for cameras because I don't have another camera that uses a particular HDMI port. The next part I wanted to talk about, just maybe trying to improve, is the audio, right? So I sound decent right now, but I am wearing this headset. And what I want to experiment with is introducing a different microphone, a microphone that maybe you don't see, but you can still understand that it's good quality. So we're going to just try that real quick. Check 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3. So now what I've done is I've gotten rid of my headset, but my audio quality should have actually improved a little bit. Sounds a little deeper, sounds a little more earthy, more tonal. I actually have another microphone directly in front of my face, right here. You can actually hear it a little bit more if I get closer to it. So this is a Blue Yeti microphone. I'm going to pick it up so you might hear some crackling. One of these, right? It's excellent quality. If you have multiple people on camera, you can actually set up the settings on the microphone a little bit differently and pick up more people around it. So what this does is gives me higher quality audio, higher quality video, and now we're just going to experiment a little bit more with that switcher box. So what I've done now is taking my laptop and plugged it directly into that switcher box. So I have my camera that you're seeing me through right now, but also my MacBook completely separate, plugged into the switcher. So I can actually switch to the MacBook and show you full screen desktop, whatever I want to show you, right? We can browse websites, we can watch videos. And so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna look at that. So I'm gonna switch over, and you should still be able to hear me just fine. We can, like I said, we could browse through different websites. We can go to YouTube, watch a video. As this video starts playing, I actually have to have a whole separate control on the audio. So I'm gonna turn up the audio a little bit so you can hear that.
One processor instead of an Intel processor. This transition is a huge deal, and Apple is making huge claims.
Now I'm going to turn it down a little bit, and maybe we'll just hear it a little bit in the background, but not really take over. What I can also do with this switcher is turn on picture-in-picture, so you can see me on the camera. I can put this a couple different places, just kind of scattered around the screen. There's a whole other set of settings that I can go in and change this picture, make it a little larger or smaller. I can even go through here, and I'm going to turn down the volume again. I can go through and we can pull up just a standard video. Now this is the first video you saw whenever this video started. I can hit play. I want to go over a few things with just video in an online learning space. Maybe audio quality is a little different, video quality is a little different, but it's just nice that then I have full control and I don't really have to rely on whatever tool I'm using to work with my students or colleagues. I don't have to rely on Zoom and its different sharing features. Even if my iPhone or iPad or any other device I have has an HDMI output, I can then plug it into this unit and use that as a tool. I can also get fancy with it, and we can turn on a little blur effect, right? Or like a transition effect. So I can tap this button and then it slowly transitions back to my picture. Completely unnecessary right now, but maybe there's something that we can do with that later. We can also then take this tool and pull in a bunch of different inputs, like I said, with those different HDMI plugs on the back. We can plug in timers, different on-screen effects, and really just tie it all together and make it this little production studio for not very much money. This little switcher costs $300, which isn't cheap. It's not nothing, but for all the different features it has, it does a lot. There are more advanced techniques that I can introduce in a later video series, such as significantly more manual audio control. These are tools that I have readily available in different pieces, and I kind of have to put it together. But I really wanted to focus on video presence and how we can work in the professional, private sector, in industry, or in education, and just really improve kind of the video quality and the video presence that we have in this virtual environment. Now, what I will say is the most difficult piece behind this is actually like focusing, right? So this camera is a very manual camera. So I mean, I can kind of just roll it in and out here. And there are autofocus features on some of the newer models, but this one doesn't really have that built in. And if there was an auto face tracking feature, I think that would significantly improve the video quality a little bit, because it would kind of move with me a little bit more. But I'm totally happy with how this is set up. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email or leave me a comment, and then we can kind of get it configured a little bit more. Thanks so much.